All right, guys, welcome to the Jordan Garber Now podcast, and we are here with none other than Danny Limelight. Danny, great to have you on, man. How you doing?
Garber, my guy, what's up, man? I really appreciate you, having me on the show. I think this might be my first time doing an interview with somebody not in America. So this is pretty cool. I'm excited to be part of your show, man.
Absolutely, and it's great to talk to great talent from New York like yourself. You know, I have some cousins that live there. I have my uncle that lives there, so a lot of family connections bring up New York City and my family. I have a lot of pride in that, and that's also why I wanted to get you on as well. You know, what's it like though, man? Like just loving wrestling and wanting to be in the business, but New York isn't the size of Winnipeg, so maybe it's not as easy because it's bigger and it's harder to get your name known because there's so many indies. So how was the beginning of that for you? How did you get through those first few years?
Well, you'd be surprised to know I was not a New York trained wrestler. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. I spent 17 years of my life there. I left when I joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old, traveled the world, and landed in California in 2012.
Thank you for your
Two,
service.
what happened?
Thank you for your service. That's all.
No worries, man. And then in 2014, I began my journey to be a professional wrestler here in Southern California. So even though I am a New Yorker, as you can see, I rep it always. I'm Puerto Rican from New York. But I am a SoCal wrestler, and I take pride being a Southern California wrestler, which, in my opinion, is the hottest wrestling scene
Absolutely.
on the independents. And, if you look at the list of names of guys that's coming out of SoCal, it goes on and on. And so, really just those first few years was just trying to make as many shows as possible, try to have the best matches I can, and really build my brand as Danny Limelight, And I took a 2-year break in 2016, after 2016, and I came back in 2018 strong. I won multiple championships in multiple companies. 2019, it really started rocking and rolling for me with, with my Impact debut, back at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and just really making more states and AAA and things like that. And then obviously 2020, I had a 2020 vision. It's been the biggest year of my career. It's been amazing. And I feel super blessed, man. Thank you so much, to God and to the universe and everything just coming together for me at this time of my life.
Absolutely. And I look at your career, and man, you've been in more promotions and probably podcasts I've done, but it all started out in SoCal Pro Wrestling down there in Oceanside, a lot of shows down there as well in Los Angeles and Imperial Beach. You know, working those guys like, Ashley Grace, Ryan Kidd, Doug Bosco, Anthony Idol. What were those guys? Did you learn anything along the way in those humble beginnings, wrestling for a company like that, which had a really good following at the time too?
Not really. No, I don't give any credit to that place. Usually people that have interviewed me before knows that me and that place didn't have a good relationship. They get no credit for who Danny Lama is. I may have started there and learned very very little about wrestling. They were, in my opinion, I don't like to have this kind of conversation because I don't like
Oh,
to
no,
be.
and if you don't have to, you don't want to. I totally
Yeah,
understand.
but what I will say is that from that place, guys like Anthony Idol, is a good dude, man. I really like Anthony Idol. He's happy. I'm happy to see him at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I don't even know if Ashley Grace even wrestles anymore. I don't know what anybody else there is doing. I know Drew Diz is a good dude, man. He's an amazing wrestler, but I don't associate with SoCal Pro. You know, if anything, I give all my credit in wrestling to David Marquez, because after SoCal Pro kicked me out of their school and told me that I'll never wrestle again and tried blacklisting me and things like that,
Oh shit.
David Marquez brought me to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Yeah. It's crazy is that I don't like to talk about the story because I don't like to, shit on other people, because I like to
Oh, I
keep it
hear you.
real and be authentic and just really just, keep positive energy. But they
Absolutely.
they kicked me out of their school for winning a match at another promotion in LA.
Okay, that's ridiculous. Let's go on, man. You know
And
what?
like,
We don't need to talk about this negative bullshit.
I'm
Let's go
saying,
straight to the
it's ridiculous.
positives, man.
And what's the best part about it is that I feel like good things happen to good people. And when they kicked me out, they tried blacklisting me, and they told me that I'd never wrestle again. Here we are, 2020, and look at what I'm doing. And I don't think there's been anybody else really, besides guys like Ricky Mandel, who's a good friend of mine, that came out of that school, and really did something in the wrestling world. And so I'm just, grateful that the world and the universe works in weird places and weird ways, and and I'm happy to have climbed out of that place. And you know, thanks to David Marquez for bringing me to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You know, that's where I learned how to wrestle. I learned how to, you know, 10 months in the business practically. I'm wrestling on TV and learning TV and learning how to work the cameras.
How are the crowds at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? Because
It's cool,
everyone,
you know, it's smaller crowds. You know, the thing about Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is more TV based, you know, so the crowds, you know, when I was there, when, you know, are decent sized. You know, I would like to see more people in the building.
yeah,
But I think just the location of how far away it is from people, it's hard to get people in the building, I think. But the fact that it's on TV is what we cater towards. I'm grateful to really have been able to, you know, work for David Marquez this long. You know, I've been a mainstay on United Wrestling Network now for 5 years.
yeah.
Specifically this last year alone, you know, I kind of take pride, and I really do mean it when I say this, that I feel like I'm the face of the company. I think that nowadays when people think of Primetime Live, when people think of Championship Wrestling Hollywood, my name is one of the first names that pop up. And I'm forever grateful to David Marquez and his crew for that.
Now, when it comes to working on TV, you know, for the first time, because when you start out, you know, you're not working in front of cameras and a TV audience, and it's totally a different vibe and different ways of how you have to react with the camera and everything. Was that a big adjustment for you with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, or did it just like click like that?
I think that it was an adjustment, but it wasn't that long of an adjustment. You know, I got paired with Gino. We were Los Primos Rivera. We worked a tag team thing. And you know, we had guys, you know, back then that was in the locker room, you know, like Peter Avalon and all those guys that were there that were on top of the company, like Scorpio Sky, and you know, Rocky Romero was there, and you know, you had Drew Gulak, Timothy Thatcher, you know, that really, you know, that was in the back really giving that advice and that critique. And you know, David Marquez and his people's letting us know, you know, what we needed to work on and things like that. And it was a test. Obviously, it was very different than working an independent show. And I was very, very new in the business. I had a lot to learn still.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I kind of just made it my own, you know, and now here we are. All I do is wrestle on TV now. You know, I am very fortunate because, you know, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but
Dude, you have every right to say, because you busted your ass.
I
You
did.
busted your ass to get that. So you can say, you can sit here for hours and I can't say shit because I haven't worked to
That's
that
not who
level.
I am. That's not who I am. You know, I'm a very authentic person. I'm very
Yeah.
genuine. I'm a good dude, and like that's why I never talk
All
about the
right.
companies and stuff like that did me wrong, because I don't need to bring that negative energy. But what I will say is that you do. If you look on TV on Tuesdays, you might see me twice for Primetime Live at AEW. You look on TV on Fridays, you're gonna see me on New Japan Strong. You might see me on Wednesdays on Dynamite. You might see me every weekend practically on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on Saturdays. And so, you know, I would not be where I'm at right now. Is what I'm trying to get to. What I'm trying to say is I would not be what I'm doing, be where I'm at and doing what I'm doing at all these TV companies if it wasn't for David Marquez and his crew at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. That's where it all started for me. That's where things really, you know, started falling into place. And more specifically this last year, just really grinding and really studying my craft and really learning and really like paying attention to what's happening behind the scenes as well. It just leveled me up, man.
Yeah, the one thing I remember doing the Northern Death Tour in February, and the most important thing I learned is, you know, you learn every single day more and more and more. That's my favorite part of the business, because the day you feel like you stop learning, get out of the business, man, because you're learning every single day. I'm going to be 80. I'm going to learn something new. Same with you,
Yep.
probably.
That's the truth. And that's, you know, that is how it should be in life, period. I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So even when you feel like you've reached that level, if you're still willing to learn, there's still somebody at the top that's better than you that you can learn. And even if they're not better than you, they could be the newest kid on the block, and you can still learn something from them. I feel like I'm learning every day. I'm learning as I do these interviews, these podcasts. I'm learning as I'm wrestling. I'm learning as I'm sitting in the back watching other people wrestle. I'm learning as I'm looking at, like, you know, what we got going on for the week. I'm learning when I'm working on my promos and stuff like that. It's all a learning experience, and nobody's ever too good to learn something. And I'm blessed now that where I'm wrestling at is such amazing talent, you know. Primetime, let's start with Primetime Live. You know, you got guys like Fred Rosser. You got guys like James Storm there. You know, you got Dirty Dickinson. You got the Wolf Zaddies, Che Cabrera and Tito, who are an amazing tag team. Been tag teaming for years that you can learn from. You got Thunder Rosa. You got Miranda Alizé. There's so many people, you know what I'm saying, top to bottom, that you can learn from there.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about New Japan Strong. I'm there almost every week. Matter of fact, just announced this Friday on New Japan Strong, I get my first crack at somebody from the Bullet Club. Danny Limelight versus Chase Owens. Danny Limelight versus Chase Owens this Friday on New Japan Strong. You look at the New Japan Strong locker room. Look at the guys there. You know, you got a roster full of people like Jay White, Juice Robinson, Rocky Romero, Jeff Cobb, PJ Black, Kenta. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole bunch of talent, and TJ Perkins, ACH. The list goes on that show. And then let's go to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You got some of the same people from Primetime Live at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? And then with AEW, you know, making my debut last week and having another match, you know, this week, it is so much talent everywhere, and you just constantly learning and picking everybody's brain.
Man, I have one thing I have to say, man. I hope you take on Chase Owens. I hope you defeat him, because the last time I was in the Rumble with Chase Owens, I was a victim to a package pile driver. So you got to take care of him for me, man. Come on.
Thank you, bro. Chase Owens is that dude, man. You know, one of those Bullet Club guys. You got to be careful with Bullet Club, though. You never
Very
know.
talented.
You never know where somebody from Bullet Club is gonna pop up. They don't fight fair. I learned this, and I'm just excited for this match. It's a good match. It's gonna be a good matchup for me.
Definitely. Now let's talk about New Japan Strong. You know, you're doing that in California, which is really good, but still a culture shock. And then AAA, man, that's a dream for myself as a journalist. How was that? That must have been really cool, man.
For AAA, man, that seed was planted years ago. I had a match in San Diego in 2016. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match against Douglas James. We stole the show that night. And I'm saying we stole the show because we did. The main event was full of people like Cholo, B-Boy, Willie Mack was there. You know, it was a huge stacked card, and we were like we went on right before intermission, and we completely stole the show. And it just so happened that Conan was there watching.
Oh, wow.
He loved the match, brought me and Douglas James to Mexico for the Crash, which is a huge company in Tijuana. We opened the Crash. It was 5,000 fans. The main event was Hijo de Santo and Santo in the main event. It was a huge sold-out show. It had Ray Phoenix there. Pentagon was there. Lince Dorado was on the card. Willie Mack was on the card. You know, all these guys,
Crazy.
huge superstars. Garza was on the card before he got signed. Humberto Carrillo was on the card before he got signed. It was just a huge stack card. We opened that show. You know, Conan gave us 10 minutes to go out there and do our best, and we did that. And so that's where my relationship with Conan started. And then when I came back in 2018, I started rocking and rolling. He hit me up again. This time he was working with AAA. He wanted to bring me out to AAA, so I was able to make my debut and do a couple of shows with AAA.
Awesome, man. How's the lucha style and just like adjusting to it on TV? You know, it's definitely a higher, faster paced style. But, you know, adjusting to that like authentically, 100% in the middle of a AAA ring, man. That's an experience of its own. Was it an adjustment?
Yes, it was. Well, it wasn't so much of an adjustment because I feel like when I came back to wrestling, I was training with Mariachi Loco and Lil Cholo. You guys may know them from the Rabbit Tribe on Lucha Underground, or you know, yep. Cholo was Mr. Cisco on Lucha Underground, and whatever the case may be, they train mostly Lucha Libre. So I was able to like get back in the ring with them and really focus on Lucha Libre. And so, you know, the transition, you know, I feel like I have a hybrid style where I'm like an American wrestler, but I can do Lucha Libre. I'm a striker, I'm a technical wrestler, I'm a high flyer. Like I have all these tools in my toolbox. And that's just from training with, you know, not having a school and just training with people like Cholo, Mariachi Loco, you know, training with Jungle Boy, training with Luchasaurus, training with John Morrison, training with Jake Atlas, just all these different kind of people who wrestle so many different styles and putting it all together, you know, to make Danny Limelight, doing the Evolve seminars with Adam Cole and Roger Strong and just picking the brains of all the people in the back. So having that kind of a hybrid style and then stepping into the AAA ring, I felt like it was really easy for me to mesh with everybody there and really, you know, come into my own and just do my thing while trying to put on the best show possible of Danny Limelight in a AAA ring.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. Now you're adjusting now from, you know, major leagues in Mexico to the American majors, you know, just doing some great stuff with AEW. You know, how did you get that call? That's good for you, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was a blessing, man. I got the call. I had reached out to, you know, somebody back there a few months prior, probably like in the middle of COVID, maybe towards like, I want to say like right after I made my debut in New Japan, I reached out. But obviously with COVID and everything that was going on, they were taking their precautions and stuff like that. And then, you know, in the beginning of October, I had got the call. They wanted me to come out, and I was very fortunate to be able to fly out there and just perform and really just take an opportunity that was presented to me and really, you know, try my best to to showcase my talent in the time that I had to do it, against an explosive trios team like Jurassic Express. Shout out to Jungle Boy, shout out to Luchasaurus, shout out to Marco Stunt. I think they're a crazy, innovative, fun trios team. They're all very talented in their own ways. It's being able to step into the ring with them at that level, and that platform, and really teaming with Jersey Muscle, guys that I had never met before, but they held their own, and just being able to showcase what Danny Limelight and who Danny Limelight is. I think I accomplished that, and I felt super grateful for the opportunity, and I can't wait for more. Matter of fact, like I said, this week I'm back on AEW Dark, and I'm taking on Jurassic Express again, but this time it's a tag match. It's me and Casey Navarro against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. It's gonna be another fire banger. And then if you're talking about this, and if you look at it, man, like I got AEW and New Japan in 1 week.
What is that like for you on your schedule? Do you ever feel overwhelmed, or do you just go, go, go?
I just go, man. And this is like thanks to the Marine Corps in a way. I mean, growing up, I was always hyper. I felt like I was bit by a radioactive spider, and I just have like this kind of radioactive genealogy inside of me, that mutation or whatever you want to call it. I've always been a goer, a doer, and the Marine Corps just really prepared me for time management skills, being able to adapt on the fly, and being a Marine Corps drill instructor really tested my time management skills, really tested, who I am, how I work, my work ethic and things like that, my motivation, my will to not give up. That all came from who I was, born and raised in Brooklyn, but also it was amplified in the Marine Corps after 10 years. And I'm very fortunate that I have those skills, because now when I do this, I can make everything happen whenever I need to. Last week I was in 2 places at once, so it's a grind, and I'm somebody who's never satisfied. I'm always hungry. My tag partner Papo Esco says he's always starving, and I until I get to where I feel like I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at in life. I'm happy.
There could always be more.
But exactly when I'm fully satisfied, that's when I'll be able to like really sit back and just like embrace it, and then put the foot on the gas again, because I'm not done yet.
Absolutely. And that's why I say thank you for your service all the time, because my family, very big military background. And what I heard is, you know what? It brings so much to pro wrestling, because in the military, they break you down, man. They break you down and they turn you into a soldier. So if you have that soldier mindset in pro wrestling school, you're going to go so far, because you're gonna get ahead. But however, there have been soldiers in the past who couldn't even finish wrestling training. It's a very hard experience, and that's why it's important to find a good trainer and train with some of the best, like you have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're 100% correct. The Marines definitely, instilled that discipline, that warrior mindset, that warrior spirit, those ethos inside of me, core values of honor, courage, commitment, and I feel like I was able to really just, showcase that on whenever I'm training, whenever I'm doing something. Nothing slows me down. Even with injuries and things like that, I push through it. I keep fighting. Most of my inspiration comes from my daughter. I know she's always watching me, so I got to make sure that her dad is always ready to go, always ready to fight, always ready to push through it. And I think that I've been doing that. And I just continue to thank God for giving me that strength to do so.
Absolutely. I'm really, until you have a kid and you have to provide and feed for them, you honestly, truly know. I wouldn't know that until like I become a father, for example. It's a very sense of responsibility, and especially putting food on the table, doing what you love for a living. Not everyone can do that. So it's definitely a grind, but if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Fact. That's 100% correct. If it was something easy, anybody off the street could get up and do it. And I think that goes with a lot of things in life. I don't think I could do what you do. I don't think I could sit up, maybe if I really put my attention to it, I probably could, but like being able to host a podcast, have episodes and bring guests on and really just be able to control the interview, that's a talent in itself, man. Anything you do in life, if you're not driven for it, if you're not grinding, if you're not working at it, you're not going to be good. You know what I'm saying? I feel like having that work ethic, that passion, that's the biggest part of it. You know what I'm saying? And that goes with podcasting. That could go with wrestling. It could go with being in the military. It could go with being a parent. There's just, if you want something, you have to want it as bad as you want to breathe, and you have to grind at it every day until you feel like you're satisfied with where you're at.
Let's talk about some in-ring psychology. Who are some guys that you just worked with, you could just do anything and it could just, you can go all night and you enjoyed it in the process. Who are a few guys that would lead by that example?
Some of my favorite opponents that I've had, you mean?
Yeah, opponents, pretty much opponents along the way, and kind of ways the match went along those lines.
TJ Perkins, one, phenomenal. Chris Bay was one of my favorite opponents. Adrian Quest. Clark Connors, I've had some bangers with him. Um, who else do I like wrestling? Um, yeah, Chris Bay, Ray Phoenix. I've had a few mixed matches and tag matches with. He's dope.
He's
Shit,
fast.
yeah, he's awesome. Sammy Guevara, I had a fire match with. Those are some of my favorite opponents right there. People that I've wrestled that I've really enjoyed wrestling was those guys that I just named: Adrian Quest, Clark Connors, C.J. Perkins, Sammy Guevara, even Rocky Romero. I had a man, fucking, I can wrestle Rocky Romero any day.
I always liked watching him.
Yeah, he's
He's
awesome.
great, eh? Oh, you
He's
got the
awesome.
Canadian accent. I always say A and I try not to. You definitely notice that there. I always ask my American guests if I have an accent. What do I have an accent to you or?
When you said age just now, it sounded like he's great, eh?
Definitely, definitely. Who are like in terms of going on the road and things like that? Like I learned the rules of the road early when I got to go. It was a pleasure for me. What
Well,
are just some places you just liked wrestling in, some like venues you could mention and throw out there?
Fausto Gutierrez Auditorium in Mexico,
Yep.
Tijuana. Wrestling at AEW Dynamite, that's a big fight field. Wrestling at the LA Dojo, not the LA Dojo, excuse me, the place where we shoot and we wrestle at for New Japan. We're not doing it at the dojo right now, but where we wrestle at the Port Wainimi place, the same place where Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is shot at. It's an amazing venue, amazing place. The production is amazing. Um, where else do I like wrestling at? It's really where I spent most of my time wrestling this last year. Um, Wrestling in San Diego at Ground Zero. I love the fans over there in San Diego. My favorite fans. Um, and then I wrestled. In Rhode Island for XWA. There was a pretty cool venue they had there. That was fun. I'm just a big fan of like wrestling at places where the energy is right, the fans are feeding off of it, and even if it's studio style for tapings and things like that, just the production value. I really admired that as well, and I think Marquez Productions is one of the best production teams out there.
Shout out to David Marquez as well for continuing to put on a great product because I've watched it and I've absolutely loved it. We've had it on TV here all the way in Canada. It's been everywhere. So, always check out Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. It's an amazing, amazing product that's extremely underrated. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yes, I 100% agree.
One of the most underrated products, like I say, in North America alone, because of their television value and what they bring and the crowd. The crowd, it reminds me of World Class Championship Wrestling from '85, what Snow was talking about. Every body slam, every single clothesline, the crowd is into it and they love it. And that's another reason to check it out.
Yes. And even like when you think of like smaller companies and things like that, I wrestled at like a smaller place in New Jersey. I did one of the CZW Dojo Wars, and that was
Oh,
pretty cool.
nice.
It was a cool little like fight club type feel.
It's definitely a whole new kind of vibe too. The whole Fight Club wrestling kind of feel with CZW, and I like what WWE was doing with Raw Underground. I'm not going to get into news, but I kind of wish they kind of stuck with that a little longer. But it is what it is. But in the meantime, where are some places you want to go that you haven't already touched? Like, and when I say that, like, you don't just say like the biggest ones. It could be some like maybe some other countries out there that you haven't touched that you really want to
Yeah,
go to as well.
obviously, WWE, obviously. Ring of Honor, I haven't wrestled at. I would like to wrestle in the UK.
Oh,
I
that's
would
cool.
love to wrestle in Canada someday. Um, Companies that I would like to wrestle that I haven't. I'd love to wrestle at PWG. I'd love to wrestle at Defy. I'd love to wrestle at Limitless. Wrestling Has a Tomorrow. House of Glory. Um, those are some places that I would really like to wrestle. Get my foot in the door there. What else? What other companies are there? Beyond is another one I would like to wrestle at. So those are just a few off the top of my head. I even, matter of fact, even Australia, that'd be cool to wrestle at. And
They have a
obviously,
whole
eventually, when things with COVID get back to normal, I would like to go to the Karukian Hall and wrestle in Japan.
That's my dream. Long ways for me to go, but when it comes to Australia, I heard from another guest who wrestled there. It was Franco Varga. He was on the show, and he talked about wrestling in Australia. They have a weird style. It's cool. It's like kind of like Japan mixed with WWE style, and then like lucha libre. It's mixed. It's really cool.
I wrestled the Philippe brothers. Do you
Mhm.
know of them?
I heard of them. Yeah.
Steve and Tone. Them dudes are dope.
Yeah,
Like
they are.
them dudes are dope, and they're from Australia, man. I had a really good tag match with them a couple years back.
So you know about that style I'm talking about, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really
I
different.
wrestled them out here. They came out here. They were at the championship wrestling from Hollywood taping, so that was pretty cool.
Definitely, and that's always a great thing for a worldwide audience too. Is watch different audiences. You know, when you watch or different styles, it's amazing because you learn so very much. But where can people follow you, Danny, on social media?
Well, if anybody's looking for me, man, I'm not hard to find. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Danny Limelight. And if you want to show love, you go to prowrestlingtees.com/Danny Limelight, and all my merchandise is there. I got T-shirts and things like that you can check out. I'm not a hard person to reach. I'm easy to talk to. You know, you can find me on Facebook as well. Just message me. If you have podcasts you want to do, we could do that. If you just want to talk wrestling, if you just want to, follow my journey, hey man, just hit the follow button and let's link, let's network, let's communicate, man.
Definitely, man. I do appreciate the time and thank you for being on the Jordan Garber Now podcast.